Say we gon' set your day right, yeah. We gon' turn it up nice. Get ready for the time of your life. We bring the vibes and we bringing it right. We're the Brunch Bunch, doing it right, doing it right. Go we on here and we ready to bring the fire. Turn the radio up. Go we on here with the Brunch Bunch, take it higher. Turn the radio up. Go we on here and we ready.
Turn the radio up. It's the Brunch Bunch live right here on Facebook, and it's Throwback Thursday.
Oh my God, that means it's your favorite.
It's my favorite day of the week. Unfortunately, I can't play the throwback hits right now, but I'm gonna figure it out just for you, Tammy.
Oh, I appreciate it, but now I'm thinking you appreciate. I don't think you understand what I appreciate.
No, I definitely understand.
Yes. So let's do this. That I have been up since midnight. No, not even midnight. I've been up since before midnight because I've been working on. Seriously, I've been working so hard ever since the quarantine. It's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous.
I text.
Guys, we lost Marcel, but guess what? You still got me. What's up, believers? It's your girl Tamera on the air, and we are very excited to be here. And we got Marcel back.
I'm back, but having some technical difficulties. Yeah. Why do people want to call you when you live?
I'm not exactly sure why people want. I guess because they think they want to see if you're going to answer, if they're important enough to you to answer. So guys, this quarantine is not. I say quarantine. This quarantine is not necessarily. It's not making me sad or anything, but it's making me not take baths and showers.
Oh my goodness! You know what? There's a poll on Instagram asking that.
Huh?
There's a poll on Instagram saying, since you're at home, how often are you showering?
Yeah, for me, and they did this thing on TV. They were asking people because all the all the TV announcers, all the newscasters, they're broadcasting from home, so they asked them to stand up because they wanted to know if they had on pants. Well, for me, I definitely have on pants, but do not ask me to turn my head around. No.
For me, I definitely don't have on pants, so don't ask me to stand up.
Don't worry, do not worry. We got a great show for you today, though, guys. We got some great guests, and I am so excited to be back in the virtual building with your main man.
It's Action Jackson. You know what? I got to get used to, like when we on the radio and we do the intros and the names.
Nobody want to hear about your technical difficulties.
But I'm always excited to be posted anywhere. I don't care if it's virtually, with the elegant, the alluring, the fascinating, the queen of the conspiracy theories.
Oh, seriously. This is so freaking serious, you guys. But you know what combats all conspiracies is that Bible. Revelation's going to give it to you. What in the raw? Bam. So we talked yesterday, and I told you guys that we were going to talk about the vaccine. Of course, just for you guys who haven't tuned in all week, we're doing a 5-part series on this 5G because a lot of people have been very in the dark about it. So we've been shedding a light on it all week. Please, if you have not gone, if you didn't have an opportunity to tune in, go and look at some of our rebroadcasts on Facebook, and you will see and you will understand where the connectivity is. So we talked about the vaccines yesterday and said we were going to delve into it. So you want to hear it? Here you go. So the vaccines that they are working on right now, and they're saying that they don't have, well, trust me, in a few little whiles, that's my own coinage. In a few little whiles, they will have those vaccines. You got to ask yourself, why have the airlines not stopped flying? All the airlines are still doing domestic flights. Now, it might be 1, 2, 3 people on it.
And they on sale. I done bought a couple of $47 round trip tickets.
Yeah, that's what you kept saying before when you could tell me, I got some Corona prices and then it all shut down. And now you're not laughing anymore. But my niece is coming from Spain. 3 people on the plane. I mean, 3 people, and then the crew. There's nobody else on the plane. So they have free run of the plane. So that's their private plane. But let's get back to the vaccines. So in my estimation, if this holds true, and I'm not sure, if still the jury's out, I'm still looking at it. But if this holds true, that vaccine is going to go everywhere. And I'm not a proponent of vaccines. I've shared this with Deborah Vines about how I feel that vaccines were the vector in which they gave autism to so many people. Well, now it's been said that this vaccine is going to have so many toxins in it, but that the vaccines will illuminate chemicals in your body, enable that 5G frequency to illuminate, so it can track you wherever you are in real time, people. So buying time for these this gap between needing a vaccine and actually coming up with a vaccine, it's been reported that it's really just buying time to create more mortuaries for all of the unfortunately people that are going to pass away, and we won't be able to bury them because they're passing away so rapidly. We won't be able to house them because the mortuaries are not prepared. Actually, nobody was really prepared for this. So if you saw on the news, they had these refrigerated cars where they're putting the deceased, God rest their souls, and their families' souls, because when you think about not being able to put your loved ones that are deceased away in a very respectful way, it just adds a layer of sadness, a layer of depression that you may or may not be able to get out of. That's why I tell people now that mental distancing is extremely important, equally as important as social distancing. So back to these electromagnetic energies that, our bodies run off of neurons, protons. So we're just a ball of energy anyway. So to actually add chemicals to it, it would make us an infrared living being. And we could, wherever we go, whatever we do, they could track your banking transactions and everything. So it will be, if this is true, and I keep saying if it's true, because I just want to hold out hope upon hope.
Right.
I can't even understand how you could be so demonic that you could get together in some room, some back diner, some tunnel, and come up with something as globally catastrophic as this. If it is, this is the biggest ruse, the biggest cover up known to man in history. You have crippled all of the economies. You have taken people away from worship, away from their families, away from connectivity. And people are not just dying from corona, but they're jumping out windows. And I just say that we have to stay within our faith.
And I'm glad you said faith, because I had a conversation on faith with somebody this morning. Everybody's talking about the 5G. You've been reporting it for weeks now.
No,
And,
just 1 week.
last week you talked about it, so that's 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Weeks, plural, Miss English Police. But no, my point is, we got so much that's going on right now, that we have to keep our eyes on the prize, and we have to keep our faith up. And that's why I'm excited we have Reverend Wells coming on with us, because he's going to be talking about keeping your faith during the pandemic. Because
I definitely need a little more Jesus.
Yeah, because if we just keep focusing on 5G and people jumping and vaccines, and you'll lose your mind.
Oh, well, tomorrow we're going to talk about this this new introduction to this digital currency that allegedly held up the stimulus package. So that's going to be tomorrow's topic.
We're going to need you to stay off the black web, the dark web.
No, it's a control goodies on the black web. It's called an incognito web.
Well, I do want to share this. I'm no stockbroker or trader, but I will say I was reading the news last week, and they talked about a drug, Cytodin, that they're using in New York to help patients with severe coronavirus symptoms, COVID-19 symptoms. So I thought,
I want you to pronounce that one more time.
COVID-19 symptoms.
I'm talking about the drug.
Cytodin.
Okay.
You heard it before?
It doesn't
No,
have a clean at the end of it.
who?
It's like a clean.
It's spelled Cytodyn.
Okay. Okay.
So this may be a different drug.
That's
But the point, Miss English Police, is everybody else is our community. We worried about what's happening, what's not happening. When other communities are going to be making money during this pandemic. When I looked this stock up, it was trading at $1.30, and it is now $3.
Oh, what's the name of it again?
Right now, you're listening. so, so the stock ticker is CYDY.
Okay.
And so every time you read the news and you hear about new drugs and these companies doing this and the FDA approving it, you should look into the stock market and see what they're trading at and invest.
Yes.
This is I bought at $1.30 and it's up to $3 now. So I'm a little excited. I'll be glad when it's up to like $30.
Oh, don't worry, it's coming. If it has anything to do with the cure, it's coming.
Hold on. Help is on the way.
Vaccine. I want you guys to really do your homework.
No, definitely. Well, look, we got more to share. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be back with more hot topics.
Looking for a place to have your next event? Well, look no further. Waterford Banquets has over 12,000 square feet of meeting space, coupled with over 20,000 square feet of outdoor meeting space, making this the ideal location for your next event or corporate meeting. Waterford Banquets and the Conference Center is one of the premier Chicago area meeting and event spaces. What are you waiting for? Give us a call now at 630-279-0270 or visit us at waterfordbanquet.com.
Where's the action, Jackson?
I'll tell you what's going on. So what's going on today is I'm going to take us a little lighter. So we all know that Mayor Lightfoot has become a national treasure with the memes about staying home and not to go out. But this past Sunday, our mayor got her a haircut. And people are very upset about that because she had a young lady by the name of Kashmir Neal, who I'm gonna share the picture. She posted on Sunday. On this beautiful Sunday, I had the pleasure of giving Mayor Lightfoot a hair trim. Lori Lightfoot, thank you for all the hard work and dedication put forth to help our city. It was a very relaxing experience. She let me play my music and get in my mood. Now, when she posted the picture of her and the mayor, they are not 6 feet apart. They don't have any gloves or mask on. And so people are outraged because a lot of people are complaining. You were just talking about before we came on. You can't get your hair done. You can't get your hair cut. But the mayor went out and got her hair cut. Now, she went on to defend it and said, the woman who cut my hair had a mask and gloves, adding, I am practicing what I'm preaching. And then she said, I think what people really want to talk about is people dying. But I think she tried to kind of divert the conversation because people do want to hear that, but they want to know why you getting your hair cut and we can't.
So I want to just ask a question because they've been dragging on Facebook, right? And I'm a fan. So if you are not, and this is something that you're fixated on, then just indulge me for a moment. But if she got on TV looking like what was Fred Sanford's sidekick?
Grady.
If she got on there looking like Grady, now what would you all be saying then?
I mean,
somebody come do her hair?
No, I think here's the deal. And Governor Pritzker didn't make it any better because he went on to say, well, I haven't had a haircut in 3 weeks.
It's a little different, though.
It's a little different. I mean, we wanted to look good, but she got to do like I did.
What?
Go to the CVS.
You are on TV every day. You are not in the public every day.
We are in the public every day, 12 to 1. I had to go buy some trimmers. But I think it's like, you got to practice what you preach. If this is what you're preaching, you have to show the people who's following you that you're doing exactly what you want to know. She closed the lake down.
She definitely did.
Because she don't want people.
Girl's name who came and did her hair at the house. I'm gonna need that.
Look, Kashmir Neal. Shout, but I'm so happy, young black woman who got to do it. Now, Nicola just said a traveling barber passed away, and that's true.
We posted it. It's on our Facebook. I mean, it's on our Facebook page. It's a lot of things we posted last night, guys, because we want to keep you informed. Not all gloom and doom either. A lot of it was just informative because what's up, Reggie Banks? But yeah, a lot of it was informative because we definitely don't want to just bring you the news that's gonna weigh on your heart and weigh on your psyche. We want to keep you uplifted. You know, that's the basis of our show, to keep you ignited, to keep you up in
So my question to Facebook, do you think it was right for the mayor to go out and get a haircut? Now, I wanted to go to the barbershop, and I text my barber, and
I want you to go too.
listen, and I want you all to know, if you have a normal barber or beautician, tip them, send them a Zelle or Cash App, because during these times they cannot work. But I sent my barber a Cash App and said, hey, I know you off. Here's just something, because if I would have, what I would have paid. And then I texted him and said, I wish I could come get my haircut. He texted me back a picture of his basement. He set up a barbershop. I was so tempted to drive over there.
Well, a lot of people are doing that, but this one, I don't know what it is. But I do know this. I do know that it's serious. Whatever it is, the name doesn't matter. The results matter. So we do have to really be mindful about what we're doing, who we're meeting up with. But it doesn't even really matter who, because everybody's trying to live and nobody's trying to die.
Yeah, you got to be listen, I told you all, my mother won't even let me come in her house anymore.
Well, Deborah Vine said it was wrong for the barber to post. Now, I thought the same thing, D-Vines. I wasn't going to say it, but you're absolutely right. Why she can't just keep, everybody want to post, do the angles, all that, not a mayor and hot water.
Yeah, you know what? Erica said, yes, the way they talk about her hair on a regular basis anyway, they would really drag her. She had to get it cut.
She definitely did.
She should have went to CVS and bought some liners.
She
and had a wife in there, look, trimming up in the front and the back.
She probably don't even know how to do that. Here's what I am going to talk about. That what does Charmaine say if they file taxes?
Talking about if they file taxes, they eligible for the PPP loan. Tip your barbers and beauticians. No, they definitely are. And next week we're gonna be talking about that more in depth.
What? The PPP?
The PPP. We got two people that work in that realm who's gonna educate us on all of the resources that are out.
Well, let me say this. By next week, the money will be gone. So you might want to touch on the PPP and the IDLs like right now.
Well, you definitely do. So we're going to post them on our page.
So for those of you who don't know what the PPP is, it's the Payment Protection Program. It's part of the stimulus package that the federal government has rolled out in order to revitalize and jumpstart the economy, because it's on life support. I mean,
but you have to get that loan through your bank.
Yes.
And your bank has to be offering it. Nicola said, I think it's at their discretion. So you have to clean after every client. Only have one at a time.
Yeah, but so did that barber that died. He was the traveling barber, and unfortunately, he traveled somewhere. And I'm just
and because you don't know people. You know, like people say, I don't eat everybody's home cooked meal because you don't know how their kitchen look. You don't know who's been in their house before you're coming, or where they've been before they're coming to your house.
I got a ritual when people come over, which is very few and far between. And I would like to know, Facebook, what do you do when people come over to your house now? I'm going to express to you what I do. When you come in, I got to because I got my spray, my Lysol right there at the front.
Can you give me a bottle?
No, I give you money before I give you Lysol. No, sir. You're not getting my PPE.
Right.
I spray your whole body. And now, my girl Burl told me that the germ lives on your shoe. The virus lives on your shoes. And so I spray your shoes. You can't talk. You can't do flailing your hands and none of that. You got to go straight and wash your hands. I got to watch you. You got to sing the happy birthday song 2 times for that 20 seconds. Then I want you to dry your hands on the paper towel. Take that paper towel, dry it real good, and then throw it. Don't touch nothing else. Just walk around the house like this. If you cough, You might as well have shot me. You got to go. It's time to go.
Well, let me tell you what I do when people come to my house. I open my window and say, nobody's allowed in here. Call me later. Call me. Tell me what you need.
Granny, you'll do it to anybody.
Listen, I've been cooking every day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And yesterday I didn't feel like cooking, and so I called my favorite pizza restaurant, and they delivered the pizza. And when the guy called and said, "I'm outside," I said, "Sit it on the porch, and as you leave, I'll get it." And so I like had gloves on, grabbed the box. I did so much just to eat a few slices of pizza that by the time I was done disinfecting everything, I wasn't hungry no more.
Yeah, I bet you ravenously whooped that pizza down.
Now that's another story.
You guys do when people come to your house. So go ahead, while you're typing what you do, I want you to go ahead and like us because your likes produce our love. So thank you.
And don't turn that dial. We'll be right back with more hot topics.
Churchview Supportive Living is a beautiful, comfortable, and cost-effective solution for seniors 65 and better struggling to live alone. Churchview Supportive Living offers private studios and one-bedroom apartments, 24-hour nursing care, 3 restaurant-style meals, snacks daily, weekly housekeeping and laundry services, a full activity program, and transportation. Churchview is a great alternative to nursing home care, located at 2626 West 63rd Street in Chicago.
Well, shout out to Churchview who is tuned in right now. If you have loved ones who are looking for a safe place to live, Churchview is the spot. Listen, it's so clean in there.
It is.
When we went, Tammy, I didn't think I was in a senior building.
No.
And their food is off the chain.
Well, I'm glad you said that because that segues us into what we posted on Facebook last night. And did you see that they were really upset about the fact that the people from that nursing home, where they had 8 fatalities from coronavirus, the staff just stopped showing up. And so they evacuated all of the residents out of the facility. Now, you should have done that before the staff stopped showing up because you had to know they weren't coming. Now, me, I'm just...
Especially when you got 8. Listen.
8. You counted them. 8.
Now, unfortunately, I have some family and friends who have COVID-19. And so what I do in my spare time, I will leave out when I'm at the store and see if they need anything, and I'll drop it to them. But one of my cousins said she lives in a high-rise building, and she said, okay, can you bring the groceries up? Oh. I said, no, you better come down or send somebody. Ask the doorman to bring it up, security. I said, they ain't Lysol them elevators. I'm taking every precaution.
Yeah, you don't do sick well, just so you know.
No, I do not. And listen, the people who care for me when I'm sick don't want to be bothered, so they don't want me.
Well, I don't know. Do people care for you when you have corona besides the first responders? I was thinking about that. If you ever contracted corona, you would just be at home by yourself.
Unless you've already been, if somebody's been there with you, you both have to quarantine together. But if you go to the hospital, you're in the hospital 14 days alone.
No, you're not. You're in the hospital with a whole bunch of more infected people.
Well, I say alone from your family and friends.
Yeah.
And there's a video that went viral. The young lady was being wheelchaired out from being there alone. And when she got outside, it was like how I did when I got out of jail after being in 4 hours. I was breathing air like I had never breathed before.
Because your respiratory, there was another young lady that was on Facebook, and she was talking about how she had quarantined herself for 14 days because she got a positive diagnosis. And she quarantined herself for 14 days, and she begged them to give her another test. And they were like, we don't give another test. She was like, I feel fine, but I just want to make sure before I go out and infect anybody. They gave her another test. She felt fine. The test came back positive. They told her, go quarantine yourself for another 14 days. She's like, something is not right. It's a fly in the ointment somewhere.
28 days.
28 days. But she
need to disinfect her house.
She didn't quarantine herself for the next 14 days. She said that there was something wrong with the test. And that might be true.
Wow.
Tell you what, I'm not gonna take a chance. When my doctor told me to stay in the house for 2 weeks, guess what? I ain't been to the door. Not me.
No, Deborah Vine said, please keep her and Jason in prayer. He cannot get sick because I can't leave him in the name of Jesus.
I
So
know
we're
that.
praying for you, Deborah. Listen, you don't want to turn that down. We have the senior minister of Christ Universal Temple who's
Woo-hoo.
coming to talk to us about keeping their faith during this pandemic. We'll be right back.
Premier Child Care Centers is like a second home. Our passionate professionals invite your family to become part of ours. Watch your child in real time interacting in the classrooms from your internet devices. Invite out-of-town family members to do the same and watch them grow. At Premier Child Care, we develop the whole child and develop their cognitive, social, physical skills 2 years ahead of their preschool counterparts. Healthy meal choices in a relaxed family style make a healthy body. Go to www.thepremierchildcare.com and pick a center near you.
So our next guest is Chicago native Derrick Wells. He is an author, artist, corporate CEO, and the senior minister of the historic Christ Universal Temple. He is a contemporary man of God whose story is one of radical redemption. His process of redemption has played a major role in his commitment to teaching people how to transform their life. It is the manifestation of the vision God gave him to help build individuals, families, and communities through the power of love, the pursuit of happiness, and the application of self-determination. Let's give a warm brunch bunch welcome to Reverend Dr. Derrick B. Wells.
Hey, what's going on? What's going on? I'm excited about being with you. Good afternoon, I guess it is at this point.
Yes.
Yes, we're happy to have you.
Merging
Thank you.
together, right, Reverend?
Say it one more time.
All of this is merging together, like days. You don't know what day it is. You don't know what time it is. It's just all a bliss. It's all I don't know.
Yeah, but if the thing about going through the storm is if you keep going, eventually you get through.
That's true.
I like that. Well, we're glad to have you because we want to give our listeners and our viewers a midday pick me up.
All right.
And, you know, a lot of people, and Tamera fan and I was just talking about how it's so much going on in these conspiracy theories and theories that may be a conspiracy. And then you can't leave out the house and your mind is like, you'll lose it if you don't keep the faith up. So what should people be doing during this pandemic?
So one of the first things I think we all have to do is focus on what we can control, right? There are so many things that are occurring that are outside of our control. So we have to really just laser focus in on those things that we can control and then work on that, right? So one of the things that I believe is of the utmost importance is just for particularly people of faith is to recognize that all of that time you spent in the pews, in the classes, in the scripture, that was training, right? And that was training for when the real alarm happens. So if you've trained yourself up in the word, in the principle, in the truth, when it's time to apply your faith, that's not the time to worry. That's not the time to fear. That's the time to get active using what you've learned over all those many years or weeks or however long it had been since your soul was being expanded and you were having truth poured into you. And so I think it's important to focus on what we can impact. The other thing I think it's critical that we do is I was teaching last night in Isaiah, as he's writing to the children, he's writing to help as they're working through oppression. And then in the next verse, he writes a song to help them manage through the oppression. And one of the lyrics is the song is, "You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are stayed on you." So we may not be able to control what's happening externally, but we can absolutely control whether or not we keep our minds stayed on God. And if we keep our minds stayed on God, that will give us the ability. I just heard you talking about all of the noise. If I keep my mind stayed on God, that'll give me the ability to drown out the noise, right? And so we have to just make a commitment to apply the faith we've been working diligently to develop. We have to keep our minds stayed on God. We have to stay in the principle. We have to stay in the truth. And we have to be willing to do what we can to drown out the noise. Because, you know, there are some things that help us. And if the noise is not helping you manage it through, then you might as well turn it off, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, I definitely stopped watching the news as much.
you said something, drown out the noise. I'm on a prayer line every morning at 8 o'clock, and it really has sustained me. But on the
Mhm,
prayer line, we do more than just pray,
mhm.
not minimize it, because, like I said, that's the sustenance. But but one of the prayer warriors was saying how some of her team was just really going through it. How do you suggest that you drown out the noise? Because once you've read as much of the Bible as you can for a day, and you've drank from the Word and you've eaten from the Word, then how would you suggest that people occupy themselves?
So it's the next part of it, right? Faith without works is what?
Dead.
So we have to then apply to whatever degree we can, right? To whatever degree we can in whatever space we're in. And sometimes that means applying it in those conversations where the conversations with people we love, people we respect, take a turn for the worse, right? There is such a thing as being able to interject a corrective word or corrective action to say, well, is this conversation making us more afraid, or is it reinforcing our faith, right? So again, what can I do? If I can fight the urge to panic and focus on the task at hand, or focus on what I can change, like I can change my attitude, I can change my mindset, I can change whether or not I will engage in the conversation. And even if we just came out of prayer, sometimes the prayer don't take. So rather than all of us diving in to we spent 10 minutes tarrying, and we want to spend what's right. Maybe we want to spend 50 minutes tarrying in meditation and prayer. And when the conversation comes up, then maybe I'll have the courage to say, listen, guys, like we just talked about how it is we can work our faith. So let's not just dive in on this conversation. Let's go ahead and focus on something else. Let's talk about something productive. What's the opportunity? See, I believe, as the scripture says, all things work together for the good of those who love the Lord and who are called according to the purpose. What would happen if all of the people of faith began to look for the opportunity in this pandemic, right? What would happen if we began to look for the hand of God? Because we know that an omnipresent God can't be absent in the experience. So what would happen if we started to look through the eyes of faith to identify the hand of God moving in this experience, just as God moved in every other experience that we've been through? This is not the first challenge we've been through. We've been through hardship before. We've been through divorce before. We've been through losing a family member before. We've been through foreclosure before, right? We've been through breakups before. We've been through stuff before. And we know that we were able to get through because God brought us through. So let's look for the opportunity to stand on our faith and to again, focus on those things that we can change. Like I may not be able to change the pandemic, but I can absolutely apply the principle. You understand what I'm
I
saying?
like what you said about looking for the opportunity. And I found a quote from President John F. Kennedy. He said, when written in Chinese, the word crisis is composed of two characters. One represents danger and the other represents opportunity.
Yes, indeed.
So we have to recognize the opportunity. So
Yes, indeed.
that's very interesting.
Yes, indeed.
One of our Facebook Live viewers has a question. What's the best way to deal with anxiety during these times? Is there any scripture you can recommend when it gets overwhelming?
Yeah, so there are a number of scriptures I can think of. One is for God did not give us a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of a sound mind. Now, so what's that telling us? First, it's not saying that fear, that we won't experience fear, right? It's saying that the fear didn't come from God, first of all. But before we even jump to the rest, it's just important to recognize what fear is trying to tell us, right? Fear is trying to tell us that we need more information, maybe we need more skill, maybe we need more prayer. What fear is also trying to tell us is that we won't be up to the challenge of the experience. And that's where I reject the notion of fear, right? And it's only because, as I just said moments ago, we've been through it before. So if I know that I can make it through, or we can make it through, because this is not an individual experience that we're working through in this particular climate. So if I know that we can make it through, then now I can move from the fear and I can focus on what I did get. I got a spirit of power. And we know that power is the ability to do. We know that power is the ability to accomplish. We know that power is the ability to produce. So what can I produce in this season? What can I produce in this moment? It was during one of the Great Depressions that John Rockefeller became rich, right? And it was because he was able to produce when others were losing their head. He was able to keep an even strain when others were losing their face. So what can I do? I can focus on what I can produce. I can focus on what I have the power and the ability to manage. It's forcing some of us to develop some other skills. It's forcing some of us to develop some other activity. Like this is the first time I've actually done an interview in this format. It's forcing it's forcing us to be able to expand how we see possibility. There is possibility all around us, but if we don't have the eyes to see it, we'll miss it. So one of the things that we have to be able to do is we've got to be able to manage the fear. We've got to be able to get the most from the fear, right? And I like to ask myself, whenever I'm going through a crisis, I ask myself, does being afraid or getting upset provide me with more options? And if it doesn't, then I put that to the side. So we haven't been given a spirit of fear, but we have been given a spirit of power, the ability to produce, the power of love, the opportunity to come back and maybe come back to the things that are important. And not to get too far, of course, when Kobe Bryant made his tragic transition, my son called me, and he called me, and I heard something in his voice, guys. But I was in the middle of work. I was in the middle of doing God's work. And so I hear something in my son's voice. It's an unusual tone. And I say to him, well, let me call you back, son. I get downstairs. I was actually at the church. I get downstairs into the main area. And some of my people asked me, well, did you hear about Kobe? I'm like, no, I didn't hear about it. And they said, well, he just died in a helicopter crash. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. That's what my son was calling for, right? He was calling to get the comfort of his father. And I was not connected. And look, we know that love is a form of connection. I was more connected to my work than I was to what my child needed. And so it made me more sensitive. I imagine that this experience, even through the social distancing, it's bringing us closer to one another. It is giving us an opportunity to reconnect to the fundamental element of love that is inherent and innate within each and every one of us. And so as we reconnect to that power, we reconnect to our God power. We reconnect to the ability to work together. And we know that together we can all accomplish more. So God has not given us a spirit of fear, but rather a spirit of power, of love, and of a sound mind. So what's the sound mind part? The sound mind is we all have wisdom. We all have the orderly knowledge that gives us the ability to say, stay at home when it's time to stay at home. I heard Tamera say she has only been to the door during the season, right? That's a soundness of mind.
Yes.
But again, when there is a lot of noise, and noise comes in different forms, right? Noise can come in the form of the commotion of success. And I'm someone who studies and teaches and trains people up in the way of success. But I also recognize that success is not supposed to get in the way of the other things. It can become a form of noise. So what elements are impacting my ability to be clear? What elements in my life are impacting the clarity of my judgment? What elements in my life, what kind of problems have this level of thinking produced that this level of thinking can't solve, right? And so it's really about that was Nicole. It's really, Nicole, about recognizing what we do have and working with what we do have. And in working with what we do have, we find that we're able to even do more than we were able to do before.
Well, you certainly have been able to do a lot of things, and namely write a book that speaks to everything that you are obviously the embodiment of, which is happy. So the name of your book is Guidelines for a Master 12 Steps to an Extremely Happy Life. You
Yes.
seem very happy. Your message is very vibrant. And
Oh,
a lot
yes.
of our listeners are giving us positive messages now.
God be the glory.
Yesterday, those messages weren't saying the same thing.
Okay.
So this is definitely food for the soul.
Amen.
So
Amen.
what can you give our listeners from your book, a takeaway from your book that they can hold on to until tomorrow when you come back on? No, I'm just playing.
All right. So the one takeaway I would say is that happiness is a choice, right? It's not the external conditions that facilitate happiness. It's the internal conditions that facilitate my happiness, right? No different than what I said earlier about peace. We have to remember that life is lived from the inside out and not the other way. And so it's the thoughts that I think, the feelings that I hold, the place where I place my focus, the actions that I take, the behaviors that I insist upon, those are the things that form the basis of my happiness. But the key is to just remember that happiness is a choice. Now, some of us make the mistake of thinking that our happiness is attached to other people, right? And if you've ever made the mistake of trying to make somebody happy who is not happy unless you sad, then you find more pain, you find more dissatisfaction in that relationship because
you better preach, doctor. Yes.
You know, some people just have a negative pattern, right? As one of my mentors say, that they're like a picture. It's not coming to me. So I won't even try.
But I know where you're going. They're happy that you're sad. How could you draw off of someone else's demise or sadness? Like, happiness should be infectious, and you should want to catch it.
Yeah, but everybody is not on that same page, right?
Right.
And so for those of us who have made a commitment and who set the intention to be happy, there are just a few things that we can do. One of the things that, again, first thing we can do is just to decide to be happy. One of the other elements that facilitates happiness is living out of our purpose. Each and every one of us was created with a purpose. None of us are here by chance. Each and every person who is on this planet is here for a particular purpose. And that's not a purpose that we gave ourselves. That purpose is baked into our divine design. And so when we make a commitment to live out of that purpose, living in accord with our purpose brings us a sense of happiness. I'm actually like just watching YouTube. I imagine that what you guys are doing right now is a part of your purpose. Just the air and the aura and the energy that's coming off of you is symptomatic of somebody who's working in their purpose. And you know, and purpose doesn't necessarily have to be a spiritual thing. It's spiritual in its essence, but doesn't have to be spiritual in the format in which it's executed. So Michael Jackson, for as long as he did it, absolutely lived out of his purpose. And not only did it bring happiness to him when he allowed himself to, it brought happiness to all of us.
Yes.
Right? Michael Jordan lived out of his purpose. And not only did it make him wealthy beyond his wildest dreams, not only did it give him the ability to live a life most people can't imagine, it brought so many others of us happiness and joy. And so when we talk about facilitating happiness in our own lives, it's important to remember that it's a choice. It's connected to our ability to live out our purpose. It is an emotion. And, you know, scripture says, in whatever condition you find yourself, be content with that. And you know, just humble old me. I just sometimes just have to talk with the writer, and I just say with the writer, well, if I can be content, I can be happy.
That's it. Now,
it's because it's not the conditions that dictate the happiness. It's my attitude toward it. And
now, you preaching, man.
Is altitude.
You preaching. Now, you said something about thought process.
The situation, change your mindset about the situation.
That's right.
Look, an old preacher used to say, if you change your thinking, you'll change your doing.
Amen.
And so, Father Hayes, but
I like that.
About thought. Now, you guys are part of the New Thought movement.
Yes, sir.
Can you explain? And it was so strange. A shout out to Erica Watson, who helped set this interview up. And when she hit me up and said it, I said, well, you know what? I was just researching New Thought churches earlier this
Okay.
week and
Okay.
reading about it. I said, so I would love to have them on, but I want you to explain what is the New Thought ministry and what's the difference from other denominations.
So if I can capture part of the essence, right? Part of
Okay.
the essence of New Thought Christianity or metaphysical Christianity, I would say the scripture that captures the essence of it is this: do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may prove what is the good, acceptable, and perfect will of God. What is the apostle saying? He's saying that we are literally shaping our life, world, and affairs with the way we think, right? So New Thought Christianity is nothing more than ancient wisdom, right? It's just recognizing the power of the mind and recognizing the ability to link my thinking ability with the mind of God through prayer and meditation and sitting in the silence and listening to God. What Tamera was just talking about with her group, just being in communion with the presence of the life-giving one, and then doing as the Old Testament writer said, lean not on your own understanding. Trust the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In all of your ways, acknowledge him, and he'll do what? Direct your path. So it's saying that I don't have to try and figure it out if I'm connected to the omniscient. The omniscient can guide me in the ways that I should go. So I can either live my life and I can walk by blind faith, or I can walk by understanding faith. Understanding faith simply recognizes that there is a law of mind in action, right? You might have heard it said this way: thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. Or we say, I am the thinker, or Reverend Dr. Johnny Coleman taught us, I am the thinker that makes the thoughts, that makes the things. So it's just really an approach to Christianity that has within it the all of the other tenets of the faith, but enforces and reinforces this notion that we are shaping our lives present, actively and practically, through the way we think, through the way we feel, through the way we speak, through what we do, and through the ways that in which we react. And so that's a practical Christianity in a nutshell. Ancient wisdom. If we understand the wisdom teachers from Abraham on through, the message is not inconsistent. The message is right in line. And then we hear Jesus saying, these things that I do, and greater things than these shall you do. But how can you do that if you don't have the mind in you that was in Christ? Right? And so so our approach to Christianity is to help us develop the mind that was in Christ. And as we develop the mind that was in Christ, we find ourselves doing these things and greater things. And I would just settle for a couple of the things.
Yeah.
You know, like if I just come on, Lord, just give me the capacity to turn this Starbucks into wine so we can turn it into a real bar.
Now you preaching. I almost ran around the studio.
Over there. But Dr. Wells, you said something that happiness is a choice. So if happiness is a choice, is misery a choice?
Oh, Tamera, you said something. Right? So one of the things that we have to recognize is each and every one of us is responsible for everything that happens in our life. And so there's a proverb that says, we may not be able to change the wind, but we can always adjust our sails. Right? What does that mean? That's saying that we may not get to dictate and determine what happens in our life. Life happens to us, right? Pain is a part of life.
Back to what
Failure is a part of life. Difficulty is a part of life. Struggle is a part of life. If I understand the words, and we're doing the 7 last words tomorrow, if I understand the words of Christ correctly, when he's saying, if this cup can pass by me, let it. Right? He's saying, I don't really want to have to do this. There is so much pain and hurt and torture attached to this. Father, I don't want to have to do this. Nevertheless, choice. Not my will, but thine will be done. If I had it my way, I wouldn't do it. Nevertheless, not my will, but thine will be done. So what is he saying? He's saying, I am committed to being willing rather than being willful. Right? But that's a choice. Right? Even at the lesson, even at the level of the Christ, he's still making a choice.
Yeah.
Right? When he was confronted with the centurions and they get ready to take him away, and one of his people pulls out the sword and begins to attack, he says, no, that's not how we handle this. He said, if I wanted to, I could call a legion and we could wrap this whole thing up right now. Right? Mm-hmm. But that's all choice. Right?
Right.
So to answer your question, Tamera, we are always at choice. I am always at choice. And again, I may not be able to choose the experience, but I absolutely get to choose how I go through it, right? And so if I choose to go through it in misery, if I choose to go through it in guilt, if I choose to go through it in blaming someone else, all of those things rob me of the ability to adjust myself to get the lesson and the blessing from the experience. So I choose to get the lesson and the blessing, and that keeps me empowered even in the midst of the difficulty.
Right now.
Amen. Amen. This is like,
I like that.
I love a right now God.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of the Proverbs, as a man thinketh, so is he.
That's right. That's right.
And so it's your thought process. And I have a friend that attends the church where they live in DC now, but they're virtual members. But he's always tell me, if you think you're sick, you'll be sick. You have to think that I'm healthy.
Amen.
And I get sick so much, I'm gonna start doing it now.
You should.
Listen, because
that's the mirror just said right now. Don't wait. Right now.
That's it.
Yes. You know, sometimes our reception does not flow, but even beyond the interruptions, we hear the message that you're.
That's it.
Amen.
Yeah.
I thought it was just me over here. I said, loose here, Satan.
Yes. It was definitely the technology. But you know what? That too comes through, because when you're speaking something positive or when you're doing something positive, that's when the enemy attacks you the most. He's not thinking about you when you're doing all the things that he wants you to do, which are wrong. But when you really start not just doing for you, but encouraging other people to start thinking like that. So I'm really happy that you came on the show today, because so many people needed to touch and agree with that word.
Oh yeah.
People needed that living water so that they could drink from it and really flourish. Thank you so much.
God be the glory.
Yes, thank you, Reverend Wells.
One of them.
You say you're one of them?
One of them.
We all are at one time or another, right? We all are at one time or another.
That's true.
Again, the thing is to remember our training. Right, when NASA was preparing to launch one of the first spaceships, the thing that they were concerned most about the astronauts, it wasn't whether or not they were good pilots. It was whether or not they could maintain their composure and their poise in the face of inevitable breakdown. Yeah. Right, and so again, what we're seeing in this environment is a breakdown of our norms, a breakdown of our expectations. And so how are we going to manage? Will we keep an even strain? Will we continue to walk by faith and not by sight? It's a choice whether or not we will.
Do you think that people who had the opportunity to live through that last pandemic, not the one in 68, but the one in 1918, I think it was, 1938, 1918, do you think that they would be a lot more calm? Because if you've gone through something before, you're more familiar with it, so it's not as frightening to you?
Sure. Well, that's the thing about trauma, right? The crippling thing about trauma is we don't have a frame of reference for it.
Yeah.
If we've been through a thing before, even if we went through it, quote unquote, unsuccessfully, at least we have some frame of reference for how to go through it, right? So if you've ever had your heart broken, God forbid you have to go through that again. But if it happens to you again, you at least know what to expect when you go through it, So I would just say for anyone who has the benefit of experience and lessons learned, that gives us a frame of reference by which to navigate more successfully. This is a time, it's an unprecedented time, as so many people are saying. But what I like to remind myself of is that though the time is unprecedented, God is the same yesterday, today, and forevermore.
Oh, yeah.
Come through, Pastor. Yes.
The pandemic is no challenge for the principle, right? And so we just have to bring ourselves back in those moments wherein our foundation gets shaken. It's okay. There is no mark against you when your faith gets shaken or your faith gets tested. That's a part of the process. The thing is, how quickly can you bounce back into faith? How quickly can you bounce back into truth? How quickly can you bounce back into your practices? How quickly can you bounce back into what you know to be true?
Now, I want to go back to the opportunity before we talk about your services, because I want our listeners especially to understand that we have to find the opportunity. And it's not always an opportunity to start a new business, whatever your opportunity is. But you mentioned John Rockefeller, and a guy that I've been researching. I love Black history, Pastor. Robert R. Church was the first Black millionaire in the South, and he got rich off the yellow fever pandemic that hit Memphis in 1873. Where everybody else was panicking and worried, he looked for an opportunity and found one.
That's right. So that's why I'm saying that's particularly as people of faith. And there's this one saying, if you can see an opportunity as quickly as you see the faults of others, you swim in an opportunity. And so for many of us, here is the unfortunate fact for many of us. Many of us are not equipped to identify opportunities. Right. So even though they are all around us, we looking for somebody to boo up with, and we don't want nobody to look at us. We're looking for new opportunities. But there are books that are right on our shelves, and we haven't opened them up to read them. We need more information. We got the internet at our fingertips, and we're not going in to learn the things that we need to learn.
No, we're playing games on that.
Except Tammy on the dark web.
Yeah.
So we have to learn how to attune ourselves to identifying the opportunities. And we know that God is a present help in times of need. That doesn't just mean when I'm going through. Sometimes that means when the opportunity is being prepared or when the opportunity is in incubation. But if I'm in procrastination and the opportunity is in incubation, I'll miss it. Yeah. Right. So I have to prepare. I have to prepare my mind. I have to prepare my emotions. I have to prepare my senses. I have to prepare my being to be able to identify opportunity. And most people are not wired in that way.
Say it again for the people in the back.
For the people in the balcony. Say it again.
Which part? I'm in the flow. Which part?
That just touched me.
What did I say? I don't. It's
procrastination.
So I think I said if I am in procrastination and the opportunity is in incubation, I will miss it. Yeah. Right? I'll miss my opportunity. So what am I saying? I'm saying the opportunity then is to be where your opportunity is. Don't be in procrastination if the opportunity is in incubation. You should be baking right along with it. Because here's the thing. It's got to be in you before it can ever come out of you. The only thing that can come out of you is what's in you. So
where do I send my offering?
I can tell you where. Oh, April.
Don't make me type in my cash app.
Zelle, Cash App, all that.
You know?
You are amazing. Like people are just keep chiming in and saying how wonderful that this is speaking to them.
To God be the glory.
Thank you so.
To God be the glory.
So you have a service coming up on Sunday. I think you're gonna have more listeners.
Yeah, we are streaming live. There it is, right there. Yeah, there. Come on, y'all.
Hey, we got you. We got you.
Opportunity.
That's right. That's right. We're streaming live on YouTube. I'll actually also be streaming live from my Facebook page, Rev Derrick Wells, all one word. My people gonna get me because I should have had this down written in front of me. But that's Sunday. Tomorrow we have our Good Friday service. That's at 12 noon. We've got some amazing speakers. I believe they're gonna bring you an amazing one of the 7 last statements or words of Jesus Christ from a spiritual and practical perspective, so that each and every one of us can use it to become the better version of ourselves, the best version of ourselves. So I'm excited about this weekend. I'm excited about this opportunity, and I thank God for the opportunity to be here with you guys today. And so anybody looking for church on Sunday or Good Friday on tomorrow, plan to join us for Christ Universal Temple's live worship service on Sunday and our Good Friday service on tomorrow.
And they can tune in at cutemple.org.
Yes, you can go to our website, cutemple.org, or you can subscribe to our YouTube page. I believe it's Christ Universal Temple. I should. You talk about being prepared. I should have been prepared for this.
Listen, your team gonna get you.
They are. But here's the other part. Like, I was supposed to do the interview. They supposed to make sure I had the information.
That's right.
So
That's right. Now,
I'm on that part, baby.
Reverend Doctor, when we get back in studio, we need you to come bring that energy live in the studio with us.
You got it. I look forward to it.
Because this has been amazing.
Airwaves today, and I'm not talking about with radio activity. I'm talking about with blessings on
blessings. God be the glory. To God be the glory. Amen. Amen.
Thank you
so
much.
Reverend Wells, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate you guys. Keep doing the great work. We need you. We need your voices in our souls. We need somebody helping us to navigate through this season, and you all are right on point. Keep letting him use you. He's using you in some mighty ways.
Oh, we appreciate it. Preacher, listen, Dot Jetter said Reverend Dr. Derrick Wells is so powerful.
Yes, you are.
We've enjoyed you. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day. I know some of us are stuck in the house, but that don't mean we're not working and we're not busy.
Listen, that's right.
Because I think I've had more to do since I've been home than when I'm able to move around. Yeah. So thank you so much, Reverend Wells, and we look forward to having you.
With you guys.
Be blessed.
Thank you.
I will. You all do the same. Praying with you. Keep praying for us.
We sure will. Thank you.
What an awesome guest. He was amazing.
That was amazing.
But I am so fixated on this opportunity. So see, my opportunity is that it's time99.tavalifestyle.com. And I say that not in jest, but definitely so that I can connect with people who are in the house, depressed, don't know how to get up out of the bed, or just so worried about the things that are going on. And the TV is not making anything any better. But what you don't want to do, people, and I'm saying this sincerely, what you don't want to do is wake up and look at yourself and not be able to recognize yourself. So when you have a sedentary lifestyle, which if you're not careful, that's what can happen. Your sedentary lifestyle can set into your brain and cause all kinds of worsenings. So go on and get 3 little products. That's the tea, which is a toxin, and you definitely want to be detoxing during this time. It's very smooth. It's not anything that's going to hurt you. In fact, it's going to help you. 10 days on, 5 days off. So super happy about Deborah Vines. She has been on the Tava. She is now a sales rep for Tava, a distributor, and she signed up her first person today. So she's doing amazing things. I don't know if you all saw her stand up yesterday, but her body is felt like this.
Listen, I took the tea and I did it, and I lost I can't remember, what was it, 7 pounds?
No, you lost you told me 9 pounds.
Well, I can't remember. I used to drink a little bit, so my mind no. But no,
it's the tea, and then it's the replenishing of all of the electrolytes that the tea is going to take out. So when you detox, yes.
And that energy booster.
The energy booster. A lot of times now that you don't have to go outside as much, you lose energy. You got to keep your stamina up, though, guys. You got to keep your stamina.
Well, shout out to Reggie Banks, your number one fan.
Ah,
He said this is his first live experience. It was everything. Thanks. Shout out to our girl, Son Jarrett, who's been rocking with us.
yes. Thank you.
Tammy, this was a great show. Now, listen,
Sure.
we have a great show lined up for tomorrow, and I want everybody to be prepared as I get the flyer up because I got the flyer done. Um, we got some great guests. We're going to do a Good Friday show, and we have,
Uh,
oh, Lord, I can't, Pastor Anthony Spencer, Pastor David Ty Whitley, who is my pastor, and Pastor Mike Jr., whose song Big was on #1 on Billboard for 8 weeks straight.
oh, that's awesome.
They will all be with us tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
This is tomorrow's show live right here on Facebook. And I may have a surprise musical guest that was on The Voice join us to close us out tomorrow. So you do not want to miss tomorrow's show.
And tomorrow, I want you guys to do some homework between tonight and tomorrow. I want you to practice on being happy. When you see yourself going into a dark place, with all your might, take yourself out of that dark place and come into the light. If the pastor didn't tell you anything, if you didn't have any takeaway, but happiness is a choice, make sure that's your takeaway. You know, we love you.
We love you. And until tomorrow, Facebook, you've been rocking with the Brunch Bunch right here live on Facebook and YouTube. Talk to you guys tomorrow.
No, you know we gotta love them.
Oh, you know what? I can't multitask. I was typing. I missed that part.
We always want to encourage you to keep Love 24 alive. Tell someone that you don't know, a perfect stranger, that you love them. Well, now you can text it to them or you can Facebook it to them and show someone that you do know how much you love them. Love, this is the season for love because we have got to make it conquer all of the wrongs that are going on right now. We love you guys. I love you, Jackson.
I love you, Tammy Fair. We love you, Facebook viewers.
See you tomorrow with all the pastors in the house. Y'all, peace out and stay in peace.